Good afternoon. Welcome to our January SugarCRM user group. Today we'll be discussing integration with your SugarCRM. And I'd like to start by familiarizing you with the screen you're looking at. There's an area for questions and answers. If you have anything you'd like to ask our presenters, feel free to type those in there, and we will receive those and answer those as best we can. In addition, you'll notice on the far right of those little widgets on the bottom of your screen, there's a little link image. That is a link to our March user group, which is about leveraging reports and dashboards in SugarCRM. That'll be taking place on March 15th, same time, same place, online. And it's basically talking about, better ways to build your reports in Sugar and how to maximize the potential of your dashboard. So I hope that you will be able to join us for that. So let's get started with introducing our host today. We have our Sugar Practice Manager, Justin, and our Sugar Trainer and Business Analyst, Megan. And as I mentioned, we're talking about integration today. So Justin and Megan are going to start by giving you an integration overview and talk about what systems do people integrate with, what are the differences between third-party pre-built integrations and custom integrations, what are the benefits that you can see from integrations versus any sort of risk of integrating, and then they're going to talk a little bit about Sugar's new and upcoming releases and some upcoming events we have here at TAI. So with that, I would like to hand the floor over to Megan and Justin.
Thank you, Deneen. A quick overview of what is an integration. Wikipedia says it's system integration is defined in information technology as the process of linking together different software applications, physically or functionally, to act as a coordinated whole. And there's really two different ways to do this, especially in the SugarCRM world. You can copy data from one system to another, or instead of copying it, you can simply display that data from another system inside of SugarCRM. And an example of that can be seen in the act-on integration. In the act-on integration, the act-on score is imported into Sugar, whereas prospect activities like email opens or hyperlink clicks are only shown in a dashlet when you view that lead or contact. Why is this important to you? Well, data that's stored in Sugar can be searched, reported on, and graphed. Data that's not stored in Sugar, obviously you can't search on it or report on it or graph it. So you really have to think about what you want to do with your data when you're planning out your integrations.
A lot of different things can be integrated with your CRM system. This slide tells you a little bit more about some of the integrations that we see people using most frequently. One of those is an integration between CRM and their ERP or accounting system. The most common use case we see with that is to give the sales team visibility of order history, credit status, overdue invoices, shipment tracking, and so on from within the CRM system. So really opening up for the salesperson visibility into a lot more information that's tracked in the ERP system or the accounting system, but making that easy to find and use by embedding that into Sugar. Another thing that we will see people do with an ERP or accounting integration is try to minimize double entry of data. So you can do a two-way integration with your ERP or your accounting system so that you can create a new account in Sugar and push that information into the accounting system instead of having to create the account in both systems. And vice versa, if any addresses update or anything like that, again, that data can sync back and forth and not have to be updated twice. Another really popular system to integrate with your CRM is your marketing automation or your email marketing system. The big win here is easier management of your target list for your email blasts. Rather than having to constantly download data from your CRM system and then upload it into your email marketing or marketing automation system to create new target lists. You can just sync the data directly between the two so that all your contacts are in both systems. A lot of these integrations will also allow you to see marketing activity in the CRM. So Justin just mentioned a minute ago, the Acton integration is a good example of that. With their integration, you can pull up a contact or a lead, and you can see what emails has this person been sent through Acton. Have they opened them? Have they been on my website? If so, what pages were they on and for how long, and all that sort of really rich marketing activity data.
For email integration, there's really two types of integration there, client or server side. Client-side integrations exist within your email client, such as Outlook, Lotus, or Gmail. Sugar, of course, comes with a plugin for Outlook, and plugins are also available for Lotus and Gmail. Some of the benefits of having a client-side email integration are your users can choose which emails they want to record into Sugar, which contacts, which calendar items they want to synchronize back and forth. And then the server-side integration is some sort of function that will monitor your Exchange server or your Gmail server for any new emails and automatically record those emails into Sugar. You can also use server-side email monitoring for things like monitoring a support@techadv.com email address, and every time an email shows up there, you record that case as a case within SugarCRM. Or perhaps you have a form that sends a complicated email, or a form on your website that sends an email to your lead or your salespeople, and you want to automatically record that as a lead in Sugar. You can do that as well via the server-side integration. In addition, with server-side, you have things like TrustSphere and CollabSpot, which will search all of the metadata, and that's everything, all of your emails that are sent. It would keep track of the date they were sent or received, as well as who they were sent to and who are they from. And then it takes all of that metadata and tells you what is your relationship status with these different companies. Who have you not reached out to in a while? So you have all of these really cool relationship analytics you can get out of that type of email integration. The final type of integration we have here is what's called a data warehouse. And a data warehouse can be within Sugar. If you're importing a bunch of different systems, let's say ERP, accounting, marketing automation, and emails all into Sugar, you can then use Sugar's robust reporting engine on top of all of that data in your data warehouse. If you want to get even more advanced, there are programs specific to data warehouses, or you can just have your own database hosted within your own systems where you're importing data out of Sugar as well as a lot of other places into this data warehouse. You can start doing things like taking snapshots in time for year-over-year or month-over-month reporting. You can even go so far as to start taking daily snapshots for data compliance reasons.
So there are a couple of different mechanisms or styles of integrations that you might see people use. One way that you might see or implement an integration is through a pre-built integration developed by some sort of third party, whether that's someone like Technology Advisors, or sometimes it's one of the companies that is one direction of the integration. So for example, the Sugar and Acton integration is developed by Acton. And with a pre-built integration, you're going to see some commonly used data syncing between the two systems. So they have predefined what data they think people would want to sync between these two systems, and they're syncing that data either one direction or two directions depending on the integration. Some pre-built integrations might allow you to set additional fields to be included in the sync, like any custom fields that you have, but many of them do not. So that is one of the limitations to be aware of with any pre-built integrations, is whether or not it's going to allow you to sync any of your custom fields. But the main advantage of a pre-built integration is that it's going to be most often a lower cost and faster to implement than building a custom integration. A custom integration is essentially an integration that is being built directly to your needs. So rather than taking something generic that is generalized, it's building exactly the integration that you need between your two systems. Some reasons that you might be looking to do a custom integration would include needing to sync additional data beyond what might be included in a pre-built integration. So maybe you've got some custom tables and or some custom fields that are really key to your business processes that aren't included in any pre-built integrations. You may need to define custom integration schedules or custom integration processes. For whatever reason, the pre-built integration may not work exactly the way you want it to. Or you may need to integrate with a custom application or an application that's rare enough that there is no pre-built integration available, in which case a custom integration is obviously the only option you have there. Some examples of some pre-built integrations would include things like the Acton integration we've mentioned a couple of times, and a lot of other marketing tools, Marketo, MailChimp, and so on, have pre-built integrations between them and Sugar. And there's a lot of other pre-built integrations as well, maybe QuickBooks Online or Intercom website chatting, so all sorts of different integrations there. A lot of ERP integrations tend to be custom because a lot of times people have custom fields or custom tables that they've set up within their ERP system, and a lot of times that data is very valuable and meaningful to their business and they want to sync that data back and forth. So while there are some pre-built ERP integrations generally tend to be more on the custom side. And pre-built integrations generally are going to be a little bit less risky and, again, less costly to implement because you're starting with kind of the wisdom of the crowd, what's already been done. But obviously you have a lot less control over that integration at that point. It's syncing that general shared commonly used data. It's not necessarily syncing the data that you want or that you need. So you may be syncing data that you're not using, fields that are just blank in your database, and you may not be syncing fields that you do actually care about. But obviously, custom integrations come at a higher cost, both in terms of implementation cost as well as a little bit of higher risk because you're building something specific to your business as opposed to something general that's being used by other people.
Some of the benefits and risks of integrations are listed here, and these benefits and risks are readily apparent in an ERP or accounting integration. For example, the benefits reduce double data entry and reduce need to log into multiple systems. If you're thinking about your ERP or accounting, that's an incredibly important system, just like your CRM system is. You don't necessarily want to force your users to have to log into both systems. Remember to update both of them whenever some piece of data gets updated, such as an account name or the people who work there or even their mailing address. Obviously, both systems have to have updated data there, or you're not going to be able to send them invoices, you won't be able to send them your marketing materials, you won't be able to talk to them about cases if you don't know the right person to talk to. It's also a way of giving users access to data they would not normally have access to. For example, you probably don't want all of your sales users logging into your accounting systems to see if all of the customers are up to date. And maybe there's some information in there they shouldn't have access to, or maybe you don't want to have to buy extra licenses for them. So if you bring that data into CRM and let them surf to an account and see, oh, I see this company is 60 days behind on their bills, that's a great way to give them access to that without forcing them to log into a system that they shouldn't have access to. We also have the ability to analyze data from multiple systems, and I briefly talked about that when we talked about data warehousing. And of course, data validation. As you're bringing data into Sugar, you can of course have integrations that validate it, such as an integration with the U.S. Post Office to validate an address, and then that data can get pushed into your accounting system. Of course, some of the risks are if an integration isn't built correctly, or even if it is built correctly, there's always errors that can pop up. You can get into synchronizing loops where you get duplicate data in both systems, or if you have a multi-directional integration and two people update data at the same exact time. Let's say two people update an address of an account in both ERP and CRM. Which one wins? You have to pick a primary system at that point, so that system will win. And of course, if you have an ERP system, let's say that's hosted in the cloud, and that ERP goes down for a few minutes, what happens when changes from Sugar are trying to go into that ERP system and they can't get there? Does the integration miss updating those, or does it try to do those changes later? You know, that's a risk you have to be aware of when you're thinking about and building integrations. All right, talking about upcoming releases, we have the Winter 18 release, or 7.11, which comes with 4 big items. We have a modernized user interface, actionable drill-through charts, product catalog dashlet for easier quoting, as well as the use of unregistered platforms in the REST API integrations is forbidden. Now, normally that 4th item is not normally a big deal for anybody other than developers, but since we're talking about integration, I thought I'd mention it. This just means that if you upgrade to version 7.11 without first applying a bundle to your Sugar instance, any integrations you may have may stop working, so you want to check with any providers of your integrations, if you have any, before upgrading to the Winter 18 release. And we do have some examples of each of these new items.
One reminder, too, before we start going into the examples, is that the Winter 18 or 7.11 release will only be available for Sugar On Demand users. If you are on-premise with your Sugar or you host your own Sugar, you'll see these releases included in the 8.0 release coming up later this spring. So you'll have to wait for the 8.0 release to get these features on-premise.
Right. Thank you, Megan. I should also mention that the Winter 18 release is due out before the end of January.
Yes, good point. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots, and then I'm going to actually bring Sugar up on screen and demo this live. So the first change that you will notice immediately with 7.11 is the new look and feel that they've gone with, the modern UI. They've changed the color scheme within Sugar with brighter and lighter colors. Less use of gray colors so that the other colors that are there pop out a little bit more, and there's also a new updated preview layout included in that change. This screenshot is showing the actionable drill through. So you might recall that the last on-demand release, the Fall 17 or 7.10 release, added the ability to drill through from charts on your dashboards. This is an update to that new feature that now lets you take action from that drill through view. So being able to do things like edit or update the records that you're viewing from there. And then finally, the last big feature in the 7.11 release is a new product catalog dashlet to make quoting easier. So if you're using the quotes module in Sugar, you're going to love this. It really makes it easier to find and add products to add to your quote. All right, so let's go ahead and start the screen share here, and I'll bring up Sugar. Again, right away, the first thing you notice, and I've been looking at this all week, and every time I look at it, it still takes me a second to get over my shock, but I'm sure we'll get used to it eventually, is the new color scheme, the new look and feel. So right away, this looks different in terms of colors, but even though it looks very different, the functionality has not drastically changed here. It's really just a recoloring, changing of fonts, things like that, to hopefully give it a more modern look and hopefully make it easier to read and identify the information that you're looking for. That's Sugar's goal here anyways. So you can see the navigation bar has the whiter background now. The colors on the dashboard seem to pop out a little bit more. They changed the color schemes here slightly. If we look at a record view, again, the overall look and feel is still the same. You still have your business card view and your subpanels and your dashboard on the right-hand side, but the colors pop out a little bit more. It just changed the look a little bit here. And again, that preview layout did change slightly as well. Again, same idea, trying to make the data stand out a little bit more, just making it easier to find the information that you're looking for when you're doing the preview. All right, so then moving on to the next new feature, which is the drill through. I'm going to switch back to my home page here, and I'm going to go ahead and just click on one of my charts, one of the segments here. So as you already know from 710, you can do that to now drill through into that data set. So I see, because I clicked on the prospecting stage of my funnel, here are all of my prospecting opportunities. What's added in 711 is the ability to use your list view actions from here. So for example, I can go to my drop-down menu and click Edit, and I can update this opportunity. Maybe this has moved on to the next stage. I can go ahead and I can change that directly from here. Or if I have a whole group of data that I want to update, I can select multiple records and do a mass update, as well as a merge or a delete. And I can make that same change to a group of records all at once. Now the records that I've updated will stay in this view until I refresh it, or if I do a mass update, that seems to refresh it as well. And of course, I can still click through to another segment here to switch the list of records that I'm viewing. If I go into that qualification section, it's now a bit bigger than it was. I can also refresh the chart so that I see that reflected in my chart view. All right, and then last but not least, the quoting dashlet. So if I come in here to create a quote within Sugar, I'm going to go ahead and fill in some required fields here from the beginning, and then I'll show you the new dashlet here. So I can still come in and add products through the subpanel section or this quoting section the same way I could since they've updated quotes a few versions back. But what's new is this product catalog dashlet over here on the right-hand side. This lets me drill in using the product categories that are set up by the administrator in setting up the catalog. And I can navigate into any category. There can even be subcategories to that. And then once I get in there, I can click on whatever product I want to add to my quote, and it just immediately adds that product to my quote. So this makes it really quick and easy to add multiple products to your quote instead of having to do a couple of clicks and then search for them, especially if they are categorized in such a way that the products you want are grouped together like I did here. I can really quickly and easily come in here and create my quotes, and it's going to cut down on the amount of time I have to spend doing that. I can also use the dashlet once I've created my quote to add additional products to it. So again, I could still do it the same way I could before with my plus button here, but again, to save myself a little bit of time, if I know what I'm looking for, I can also search from here if I don't know what category it's under. I can come in and I can just grab a product, and again, that's going to add it to the quote. I can adjust the quantity if I want, and then save with the little checkbox here. So that's a nice little addition that they've added to really enhance the new quotes module that came out a couple of versions ago. And that kind of wraps up the new features in Winter 18 711, which again should be out before the end of January. Some other new releases and related news. First of all, support for version 7.8 has been extended until March 31st of 2018. So if you are still running 7.8, most likely you're on premises. But if you are still on 7.8, you can keep that version and still be supported until the end of March. Releases that have come out since our last user group include 7.10.1 and 7.10.2, which both patched some issues in the 7.10 release. 7.10.1 was focused on LDAP and password issues, 7.10.2 on email issues. 7.9 also got a patch release for those who are on-premise and still running 7.9 with some advanced workflow and other bug fixes. The Outlook plugin and IBM Notes plugin each got releases with some bug fixes in the last month or so. And Sugar has just started yesterday with a round of releases related to the 7.11 release. So the Marketo connector has an update that just came out yesterday with support for 7-Eleven. I would not be surprised if we see corresponding releases for the Outlook plugin and the IBM Notes plugin as well.
Technology Advisor's upcoming events. Next Wednesday, January 24th, we have a webinar for our Agribusiness CRM vertical. We just got back from the Independent Professional Seed Association Conference in Indianapolis. We're having a follow-up webinar about our Seed CRM solution designed for the ag industry, and we invite anyone to come to that. Much later in the year, October 10th and 11th, is SugarCon in Las Vegas. I would encourage everyone to mark your calendars now and plan to get out to SugarCon.
And as always, we have a number of upcoming training classes scheduled. You can sign up for these on Sugar University, university.sugarcrm.com, or on the Tech Advisor site. It's techadv.com/training/sugarcrm-training. You can find it through the main navigation bar as well. It's probably easier than remembering that long URL. The upcoming dates are listed here, and we'll continue to be posting additional classes as the year progresses. So if you don't make it to one of these dates, but you're looking for something later in the year, I'm sure we'll have classes offered then as well.
Okay, so that wraps it up for us today. As I mentioned, we do have an upcoming user group in March. When I send the follow-up to this presentation, I will send you that link again, as well as any other relevant links, including some snips of important information from this presentation. And also, as always, if you have any additional questions, concerns, you want to get some perspective on something that you're thinking about integrating, you know that you can reach out to us at any time, and we're always happy to help you. So we thank you for joining us today, and we wish you all a wonderful week. Thanks, guys.